Hello, beautiful people. Happy Valentine's Day. And I am here on a Wednesday night doing our ritual dream chat. So tonight I'm going to have two guests on, my friend Alexis and Mary. They were actually here with us on the live chat last week. And we're going to share some dreams and interpret them, right? And so if you didn't check in, or if you weren't watching the live dream chat from the previous week and didn't catch the replay, I discussed just a few key points of dream interpretation. And I'm going to share that here just to refresh everyone. But thank you for being here. Welcome in. I'm excited to talk about dreams. And so the main points of dream interpretation. So I'm looking at my notes here just to make sure I get everything that I discussed last week. So essentially I spoke about dreams being messages from our unconscious self, our hidden self. And these messages essentially are from my perspective and my experience, and also when I talk to others. These messages are there for our embetterment. They are there to really help us find guidance, to support us in our healing journey, and to also give us insight on whatever it is that we're desiring to uncover or manifest or to understand within our lives, right? So there's a lot of purpose in dreams, and it's really powerful when you develop a practice or a habit of recalling your dreams and then writing them down. And even in doing that, it's nice to really go back and read the dreams, share with other people, especially people in your life that are very intuitive, sharing your dreams with them and just getting their perspective. And as I mentioned in the previous, live last week, is that at the end of the day, your intuition is the most reliable aspect of interpretation. So even as, we'll share our dreams here live, when I share my dream, what I interpret and what I feel is the most potent or most meaningful interpretation, right? And I take into account, of course, what my friends have to say, because they can see things from a different perspective, because they're not immersed in the emotion of the dream or whatever that dream points to, say, in my waking life, that either is fully in my consciousness and something that I'm dealing with in the moment, or something that it has been unseen and it's being brought to the forefront via this dream. And so with emotions and dreams, that's probably the most powerful symbol or key element of dreams and really of interpreting dreams. So if you connect to the emotion that you had in the dream, if you pay attention to that and then pay attention to your dream or how you feel when you wake up from the dream, that can tell you so much. Even if you don't remember all the details of the dream, if you can recall just how you felt in it and waking up, that can give you so much insight. And it is believed that our emotions stimulate our dreams, right? The dreams that we have. And a lot of us probably mostly remember the anxious dreams we might have or nightmares. And so that in itself is something to, kind of take note of. And within my own practice and research, the nightmares that we experience is essentially our unconscious self, hey, pay attention to this. This is important. This is, whatever the matter is more than likely influencing your everyday life, or say maybe you are not hitting your goals or manifesting what your desires are because there's some resistance or there's something that needs to be cleared. And if it comes as a nightmare, then it's hey, pay attention. This is what you want to focus on and, kind of clear within yourself. And so, sorry, I just got distracted by people joining. Welcome in. Happy Valentine's Day. That is pretty powerful. Being that it's Valentine's Day too, and I'm going to bring on Mary and Alexis here in a second, but being that it's Valentine's Day, I want to just talk about people in your dreams. And one of the dreams I'm going to share is an ex popping up in my dream. And I tend to dream about lovers a lot, like past lovers. It's something special if I'm dreaming of my current partner or lover, because I don't know, it's something like things that are in my conscious awareness I don't dream about as much. It's things that are like maybe I thought about them or saw something like a couple days ago, and then I'll have a dream where they surface, or sometimes it's just out of the blue, so I'm like, are they thinking about me? What's going on? And so I tend to dream about ex-lovers a lot. Also, 9 times out of 10, if you are my close friend or if we talk frequently, you've shown up in my dreams. When I was scanning my dream journal last week, I was skipping a lot of dreams because some of the dreams are centered around other people. And so like people, yeah, it's a whole thing. And what I've learned with dreams and people in your dreams, the first perspective or the first like thing you want to note when it comes to someone surfacing in your dream is that essentially this person is a reflection of you, right? And the relationship you have, or say more so even the feeling and emotional connection you have with this person, and then bring in the context of the dream, can tell you, a lot about the message of the dream or what is going on within your subconscious at that time. And pretty much every symbol, this is a perspective that I've read, that I've come across in my research, that every symbol and every person, everything in the dream is a reflection of you, right? And so that's a fun perspective, and sometimes I would say not so fun to look at, what does this car have to say? How is this car reflecting me? Or how is my ex boyfriend reflecting me? I'm always curious about that. And of course, we have dreams about loved ones that have passed on, or, just family members, whatever, whoever, take into account, like, what are they showcasing you? Or again, what is the nature of that person? Like, how is that person reflected within you, or how are they reflecting something within you? I think it's a better way to say that. But then there's also as well that person just showing up, and there's like something about this connection. So there's so many different ways to look at a partnership and how they show up in your dream, or just a friendship or anything like that. And I'm going to share a dream here with my friends to see, what they interpret from this. And yeah, so I'm really excited to chat with them. And yeah, so happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Trina Rue says, lately I've had dreams about an adolescent ex from decades ago. Not enough closure, I feel. Yeah, absolutely. Could definitely be just something there that, we tend to, we store emotions within us, within our fascia and just in our emotional body, you could say. And so while that relationship has gone and passed, and, yes, there's something, an element of it from the past coming up, and that's just showing us that something within our current experience is a bit of like reflecting that, right? There's a connection there. There's still something there that needs our attention for whatever reason. And like, that's my favorite part of dream work, is interpreting the dreams and sharing with other people. So there was something else I was going to say. Okay, I'm just going to bring my friends on here. Emotions are born in the solar plexus. Hello.
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 I
Thanks
can
for
see
being
you
here.
this time.
Okay.
Yay.
So, people that are watching right now and also watching the replay, I am putting out the ask, like, for anyone who wants to join me live and share a dream, interpret a dream. That's the thing right now, where if you hop on live with me, I'm going to encourage you to interpret one of my dreams and anyone else that is here sharing. So, and it's all practicing, the intuition and just connecting with that divine intelligence to, share and see just what comes forth in this space. And yeah, so I'm really happy that Alexis and Mary are here again. You two are the only ones that volunteered. You're like, yes, I'll do it again. So I'm really excited. And yeah, I'm really excited to hear the dreams. And so, like, how are y'all doing today?
Really good.
Yeah.
Good.
Nice.
It's been a productive day.
It's been a good day.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, it's been a really good day. And I know Valentine's Day gets kind of yeah, it's like a love or hate day, which is kind of perfect. And I think I just realized right before I got on here, it's like, okay, I feel connected to Valentine's Day because this is the time when Scorpios are conceived, essentially. Like this is the window of time. So I'm like, ooh, I mean, I love Scorpio, everything. So that's my connection with this day. So yeah, I feel the love. I feel
It's
really good.
been the first year though for me that I feel like there's been such a muted energy, like
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah,
I
I
agree.
don't feel the hustle and bustle, and I don't see the deliveries and the
yeah,
shopping malls and stuff being all as Christmassy anxious as usual,
yeah,
that type of thing.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's been
Yeah.
yeah,
quite.
Kind of has us all in a place where we're like, we don't really need to go ham for this
yeah.
one.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, no. I think honestly, and I'm a very optimistic person. In this worldly events and energy, and I feel that I've noticed that a lot of people are wanting something deeper,
Mhm.
are wanting more, and so while yeah, I'm seeing the everyday post, or not the everyday post, but the generic posts of like, oh, here's me and my partner, my whatever, and I'm also like not seeing as much though, and I'm seeing things that are deeper, and I feel like we're just connecting, and maybe that's in my awareness because of where I am vibrationally, which is perfect. I'm like, this is great,
And
so
notice we're doing like a dream interpretations type of thing, but yet we have to. You can't do that without having a conversation about energy, right? Because
exactly.
it's almost like it's like a run-on sentence of like all the incomplete thoughts that were done in the day. Like, let me just go finish it in bed.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So, all right, I am curious of the dreams that you want to share. I'm prepared, so I looked ahead of time at my dream, and I feel pretty comfortable sharing this. It wasn't anything crazy. So yeah, who wants to go first?
Well, I thought you were going to share
Oh, do
first.
you want
Yeah.
me to share first? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I went first last time. Stop that.
All right, I will go first. Let's see, where is this? So let's see if I mention their name. Okay, so I'm just gonna say I'm gonna change their name. So I'm gonna say John. Okay.
Okay.
I only think I mentioned their name once, but okay. So just for context, well, I'll tell that. I'll say back and forth. Okay. So another dream involving my ex John. So I guess I've been dreaming about him pretty often, and yeah, this is like at the beginning of this dream journal. So yeah, okay, so I've been dreaming about him often. So another dream involving my ex John. I remember watching him wander the street. He knew where he was going. It was as if I was watching him from above, deciding if I wanted to insert myself into the story. I decided yes. He was in his old neighborhood in Boulder, Colorado, but the neighborhood appeared new and updated. I can't remember how we met up, but we did. And to my surprise, he didn't hate me. Even though we looked the same as now, it was clear in the dream that a great deal of time has passed. Or now, as I think of it, maybe our state of consciousness evolved. While I was at his home, I was carrying a dark skinned pretend baby that appeared to be a real one. It was clear it wasn't mine. I was carrying it for a friend. Eventually, the baby disappeared, and my actual baby was there, but it seemed to be more of a spirit baby. After the dream, I believe this was a spirit baby that John and I shared. In this moment, I can't remember what we were doing together, but it was clear that we weren't together, which made it a bit awkward. So we were together, but we weren't romantically together. So it was awkward in the dream, right? So it was as if we were helping each other get to another point in our journey. I awoke feeling relieved it was a dream. I was surprised of how warm and friendly the energy was between us. Okay, what did I write here? Okay, now recalling and writing about this dream, I feel a bit sad and shameful for my actions at the end of our relationship. And I noted that the emotion I felt in the dream was confused, a lot of confusion. Like, I can recall the dream reading it, and the confusion was like, uh, what am I doing here? If you remember at the beginning of the dream too, I was like watching like the scene almost like, do I want to participate in this? Right. And then the post dream, again, as I was writing it, I felt sad and shameful. And that day it was just after a full moon in Pisces, which was conjunct Saturn. Okay. So, that's for those who want to know the astrology. And yeah, so that's it. Let me know if you have any questions or need me to clarify something.
That was such an interesting dream. I like that you kind of chose to like you're like, all right, add player two kind of to the game. Like I loved that was your decision. Not I don't mean to just kind of go ham on that, but like I just love that aspect. It almost seemed like you were choosing to face something that, may have been on your conscious for a while.
Yeah.
Um, there was a few things I wrote down. I felt like I was writing an essay.
Yeah, I saw.
First of all, I know that babies are always an omen of news coming your way.
Mm-hmm.
But because I was just so focused at everything that you were sharing, for me, what came in was that it was not necessarily in this order, but the way that I heard it, as I heard it, it was like a dream where I find that you have received some healing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I heard you say that you were surprised that he didn't hate you. And
Yeah.
immediately in my head, it was like, are you sure it was him that you really hated you? Or was it you holding yourself
Yeah.
hostage for whatever the outcome of this relationship
So I
was,
want to
right?
stop you right there. Like, for those of you watching, that's the point that I was pointing to, as far as the person in your dream is a reflection of you in some way. So that's a perfect example of how, yes, this is a dream where my ex is there, but then my perspective, even in the dream, is like, oh, you don't hate me, right? And it's just that whole like scene of my judgments on myself and like him, and maybe the nature of the relationship. Yeah, so that's already a reflection of me within him and myself in it. So yeah, thank you. Perfect example.
And then I heard it unfold into that it felt like the dream itself was bringing you the closure that you were looking for. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think that there was some unfinished
Yeah.
dialogue or unfinished emotions that needed to sort of be wrapped up, and who else to go to but the person that knew you best in that time that you were going through what you were going through.
Yeah.
So you just sort of plugged in familiar figurines so that you can get through that.
Yeah. And
I
just
also
go ahead. No, you go.
I was gonna say too, like the change in this town, like it was updated. The feeling was
Yeah.
warm, friendly. There was no hate. Like that feels like that represents just change in the way that you are, just overall in your life and your experiences. Like that showing
Yeah.
change.
Yeah, that's awesome. And even the symbol of the baby. So for context, this ex and I actually, like, I did get pregnant, I did have a miscarriage, and then the aftermath of the healing through that was what, ended the relationship, right? And so yes, there is that element of there is a baby in the dream. So yes, the baby could represent that experience. But then also, as I'm thinking about like the update of the dream, the evolution of my realization in the dream, like, oh, you don't hate me. Like, it's like I'm in awareness in the dream that this is not what it is anymore, right? And so that baby can represent new life, like new beginning,
Yeah.
especially within this particular relationship. So it came through now. Like when I wrote that, I was definitely tuned into, oh yeah, the spirit baby, our baby that we had together. But maybe that's just the freshness and newness of like the clearing of the energy that we had, and so.
Sorry, cat just
I know
jumped right in
he's
front.
nosy.
It's not
Yeah.
a video if Wednesday doesn't show up.
Right.
Or
Right.
Sidori.
Right. One's locked in, one's locked out. Awesome. Yeah. So I vibe with that. All right.
So can I
So
share something though? I
yeah.
have a whole bunch of journals that I've started to implement like everybody, because I was beginning to feel like the one journal as a one size fits all type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. It made my brain a little chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
So ever since I started getting in deeper with the dreams, this
Yeah.
dream journal got birthed.
Nice. Oh, yes. I love it.
Just this week, but I thought I want to energize it with these lives.
Yeah.
Have it draw in all the energies. And
Yay.
that's why I decided to add my notes in
Oh,
here.
I love that.
Mhm.
That's perfect. Yeah.
I love
I am
that.
definitely a fan of having journals for, like, I have the journal that has all the shit in it, but then so I have that, but then now I've started like compartmentalizing. Like I have a manifestation journal, I have a dream journal, I have like just my vent journal that's not like pretty, like say this is my dream journal.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
my like this isn't my venting journal, just like the Dear Diary type, but it's like one of these. It's I don't yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just I'll be probably burning this later. You know what I mean? Like so I am definitely a fan of all different kinds of journals. I do complete my journals, but I'm also okay with not completing them, right? Like I will in time. So that was a big thing before. I never completed my journals, and it wasn't until I started note taking like my spiritual practices and astrology and all of that where I started completing them. And now I'm at the point where it's like if I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. And I always do, but still.
Well,
So
I heard again earlier on today, we got reminded that, our subconscious mind doesn't know being specific. So you have to speak specific. Otherwise, they'll just fill in the void with whatever they assume. And we
yeah,
don't want subconscious to assume. So let's get
right,
direct, right?
right. Yeah.
So I figured I'll have one for like my actual what I want to
Yeah.
manifest long term. I'll have one that would be my immediate, like let's call it my live journal
Yeah.
kind of thing, right? And then my dream journal. And I think that three, because three's my number, is good enough for me.
That's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I also have mine separate. Like I have my dream journal, I have my everyday journal, and then I have a shitty notebook that is just for like day to day. Like it's not shitty, it's just I don't mind not making it perfect. Like with my other two journals, it's like I have a specific thing. I need it to be like organized a very specific way, but with just like a regular notebook, I can kind of fuck around and not really worry about messing it up like I do my other
Yeah.
ones.
Well,
Yeah.
So even for taking with this, like I use this notebook because it's quick. I have the information down immediately. I'm not trying to make it pretty. I'm just trying to
Right.
collect it as it comes. Like it's a really like I like having them separate as well. I actually pulled out one of my old journals and my actual physical dream journal because I have a dream blog that I put most of my stuff on because it's easier for me to get up in the
Yeah.
morning, type it out rather than like sit
Yeah.
and write, even though I enjoy writing it. But
Yeah.
I went back and found an old one in my dream journal, and I went back to one of my older journals and found the corresponding day, and I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
nice.
excited because I haven't interpreted this.
Okay, awesome. So you have from the
Yeah.
want to share? Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
little
So
snippet.
it's no mistake that this conversation of journaling sort of inserts itself, thanks divine, because like just the other day I had that thought that it was like, man, I had a couple of really good ideas that I wanted to move forward with and I actually wanted to do. And, out of sight, out of mind, how awesome would it have been if I would have had like even a small little hand journal that I carry with me wherever I go, just to even jot down the idea that I want to incept type of thing, right? Because like I said at the beginning, I feel like dreams are like unfinished business during the day. And then
Yeah.
as it's recommended, when you wake up from your dream, to write down immediately the emotion that you're feeling and everything. How am I going to manifest and have it talk to myself and divine in complete fluent flow if I'm not taking my notes as the student of life that I am? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And
Yeah.
I say too, for those of you watching, that you don't have to always, and I'm sure you all know this, but I'm just saying it. You don't have to write it. Like, you don't have to write. I know some people, when I did the dream circle, one of the participants did like voice recordings, right? So on your phone, if you see, for me, I don't sleep with my phone anymore, but if your phone's there, put it to good use. Use the voice notes. Those are awesome, to leave yourself a note. And then you can go back and, like, if you want to transcribe it on your computer or writing it, that's a good way to do it. I know for me, it's really hard to get up immediately and just turn, like, have a dream and boom, right? Like, the few times that I've done that, I just cannot, like, it doesn't even make sense. And so what I do is kind of crazy, I guess, but I wake up and for however long it takes me to wake up, get out of bed, and come to my journal, which is in here. um like, I'll repeat the dream. Like, I'll just run through the dream over and over until I get to my pen and paper. And writing it is a lot, because it's taken me, like, sometimes I'll be writing a dream for like an hour, and I'm just
No.
like, and it's not even,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like 4 or 5 pages, but I'm just
I
like,
don't get
what in the
into too much of it. Like,
yeah.
so honestly, if I was to convert to electronics, for example, I would probably get up and create like a reminder in my calendar for later on in the day to go off. And I would probably categorize it
Yeah.
saying, what was I feeling? What are the highlights of the real dominant things that I remember? And if I could remember a small blurb of an actual piece of a skit or whatever part of a scene from my dream, then I will. But like otherwise, it's like, because you got to also take under consideration the mornings that you wake up and nothing's there, and then you go to have a conversation and somebody says something, and then you're feeling either the deja vu sensation
Yeah.
or a word triggers the memory, and you're like, but wait, I thought I heard that earlier. And then you make the association. That's another example of where to have, your hands on
Yeah.
your diaries and stuff like that, or at least document it somewhere nice and easy so that you can take a deeper dive and do the research
Yeah.
later with it.
Yeah, I think so. Next week, I'm gonna plan on, like, hitting a few points on dream recall. So I think that'll be good, and then we can talk more about that. So, okay. Alexis, you want to share your dream?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So my dream was from January 17th of
I
2023.
love
And
that she dates them.
um sorry. I wrote down that it was a waning crescent moon in Libra. So I wrote this the 16th. I woke up the morning of the 17th and wrote this down. So the 16th into the 17th, it was a waning crescent moon in Libra, uh, Monday, and Mercury was retrograde in Sagittarius. It was also 50 degrees. I don't know why. I don't do that anymore. I should probably start doing that again because that was really like informative.
Yeah.
But all right. So this dream, it has people, but like you said, it feels more like a mirror representation of just my consciousness. And I actually, after I read this and then I read like what I had written the night before, I was like, this makes sense. But I'll go ahead and
Okay.
read it real quick. So I was in a small, narrow room with a stairway kind of like to the left here. There was a fireplace right behind me, and I was laying in like a bed of blankets. It was warm. There was warmth coming
Sounds
from
like
the
a pretty damn good dream already.
I don't know about you, but just wait. Just wait. So the fireplace was putting out warmth, but the building itself was freezing. And it was like kind of an abandoned, like almost like we were taking shelter somewhere. Like we broke in to a home or a building of some sort, some kind of building, and we're taking shelter there. It smelled musty, aside like musty, and the smell of the wood burning. And there was an essence of my family lingering. I felt them there, kind of multi-dimensional, like faces flat, like they're there but they're not there. And all of the sudden, because it was very quiet, I felt the energy and essence of the people around me, but they kind of kept slipping out of my reality and into another one. And then the door slammed open, and this giant man, huge, like just huge, giant, sweaty, like pink man, just running towards me. And I immediately jetted left, and I actually drew what the stairs and everything looked like. So for maroon carpet, like you would, like 70s.
Did you say they were straight or circular?
They're straight, but they kind of
curve at the end, like a hook.
But it's like a like not a round, but a pointy. I don't know how.
Like I think I can visualize what you're.
Well, here I'll just show you.
Oh, Mary, look.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
So the carpet
that at like a threshold, like you see that, like those
That's
are
like
really
a landing up where it actually goes to
top, and I'm gonna get to that. But so I'm running up these stairs. In my dreams, my running always feels like I'm stuck in the mud. I know a lot of people have that like consistency where like you're trying to get away but you're slow. So I'm running. Thank goodness this guy is slow too because of his like largeness. And you saw at the page that there were 2 doors up in that corridor. It was a very small corridor, and there were 2 doors. I went into the one to the left and just stopped breathing. Like I just stopped breathing. I heard him come up, stop for a second, and then go through the door to the right. So as soon as I heard him slam the door that he just went through, I ran out of that door, ran down the stairs, and out the door he came from. It was winter. There was snow on the ground. I didn't even have shoes on, so I could feel like the asphalt and the snow and the like wet on my feet as I'm running towards, and I see my dad's truck is in the parking lot of where we were. So I get into his truck, and then I wake
up. Wow. That is a powerful, I feel like I was there. Like you did that so well. And yeah, I don't know. Mary, do you want to start? Do you want me to? We're both jotting notes down here.
Well, go ahead.
Okay. So what really stood out to me, well, firstly, what was your emotion? What would you say your overall emotion was in this?
So there was, in the beginning of the dream, there was more of just like an eeriness and a faint comfort because, like I said, my family was there, but they weren't.
Yeah.
It was kind of like I was trying to grasp them and keep them with me, but they just were flashing away. So there was the eeriness and then that small amount of comfort. And then as soon as the door flung open and I knew that this person was running at me, I immediately got insanely anxious, and I was anxious until I woke up. And then when I woke up, I had the lingering anxiousness. it didn't change out of my dream. Like I didn't wake up confused. I didn't wake up like normal or neutral or whatever. I woke up and I felt exactly the same as I did in the dream.
Wow. Well, I think one of the things that stood out to me was the duality of your dream, how it was like cold and it was warm, or like it was a home but it was almost felt like a shack or something run down. And then there was the oh, okay, sorry, I got distracted by my little yikes. um Talk about the dualities. Okay, so yeah, there was the cold and the warm. There was the hold on, guys. Let me just check, okay? But you guys, there you
I'll
go. Let me just make
share, no problem.
Oh.
So first, if I can ask, do the numbers 5, 6, or 2 mean anything special to you?
In regards to the dream or just general?
Well, I was seeing if there was anything there with the you don't know why you gave the numbers, and I just jotted them down thinking that they might play into something if it added up in the numerology.
I mean, it like 2 represents duality, and you know, with Urania talking about that aspect of it, I feel like that plays a huge role.
Any members
5.
of family?
I'm sorry.
How many members in your family? Was it a
In that particular
group of 5 or
in
6 at the time of your dream?
that particular dream, it was my mom, my sister, and my dad.
Okay.
But you know, 5 represents challenges and conflict, and I feel like it was a personal challenge. So I feel like that easily can relate to that. If I'm being honest, I completely forget what 6 means. I always forget what 6 means.
Oh, honestly, I don't remember them off of the top of my head. I was just literally seeing if I could vibe with them energetically, if they fit into even the way that the dream dictates itself.
Yeah, I definitely
So,
think the
because you
2 and 5
have
are for
parts of your dream where you share in several places the duality of the contrasts in temperatures, hot and cold, right?
sure. Mm-hmm.
And to such extremes, right? Because
For
I think that the very first emotion I felt from the minute you started to share was the anxiousness, like the
mm-hmm.
urgency to escape. How the hell do we get out of
Yeah,
here, kind of thing. Is what I
exactly.
heard loud and clear. The musty wood burning, that to me was just I wrote it down, but it for me it just sat stagnant and logical because you felt flames or you saw flames or something, and I think that you just made that association that way. It could also seeing the fire could also represent lingering affairs with your family of unfinished discussions that need to be had
Yeah.
and that are not being had and are being summoned to be had. And I think that all of the hustle and bustle and the anxiousness of it is, and especially, that's why I asked, even with the numbers in the staircase, maybe 6 stairs, does it go into 6 rooms? Is it to serve 6 families? I don't know. Like there was a lot that showed up there. The staircase can also be a representation that if this conversation is had, you guys will rise up from it and everyone will have their own open space because that landing looked so inviting.
yeah.
To get the visual that you designed, right?
Yeah.
And then even near the tail end of the doors at the top, before I even move on to that point, the doors at the top spoke exactly to underline that this is an opportunity where you guys could have a new way of walking into your relationships through these new doors type of thing, right? And then where was I going? Oh, even your dream I felt was working with the very nature of defibrillating our nervous system, because it reintroduced the cold, and then all of a sudden it's like scene
Yeah.
out and we're done. Yeah, we're done because it was like Control Alt Delete. We're all good. I get it.
Nice.
What do
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah,
I
we're all good.
I take in all that. I actually, when you are, when you want to say what you want to say about the dream, I actually have this tiny little excerpt that I'm going to read from the night prior that I
Okay,
wrote,
cool.
like from how I was feeling. So, and you can see kind of how they're corresponding, and I can kind of for myself go deeper into what the.
Can I insert a quick question though before you
Yeah,
do that?
sure.
I'm curious to know, how long did you travel with your anxiety that lingered from your dream for the aftermath?
Let me see. Let me see how I felt the day after.
Because you also stressed on the alignment of the planetary alignments and
Yeah.
everything like that. So I was just curious to see how that played into that.
It's funny. I don't know if I actually wrote down. I didn't. I didn't write down how I felt that day that I woke up. I have like, the what the moon is in and my oracle and tarot that I wrote down, but I didn't write down exactly how I felt. So that I don't know. I could have carried that dream's anxiety for a couple hours. It could have been a 15 minutes afterwards. Some last a little more than others. I wish I had written down, but unfortunately I don't.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um,
So what I am picking up too, like what I was saying that was standing out to me was like the duality,
Mm-hmm.
that present, and then even with just the whole entire dream within a home. Homes are like a really big deal in dreams, and they represent some, or maybe your entire consciousness in a sense, or unconscious mind. That's something I'm still learning and experiencing, but I know when there's different rooms, that's something to be aware of. And specific to, and I think it's interesting that you actually went through a door, um because I don't know, for some reason I was expecting you to not go through any of the
I
doors.
always go through the doors in
Oh,
my dream.
awesome.
Always.
Yeah. Yeah.
Her staircase gave me dynasty vibes.
Well, it's interesting because I had a different perspective from staircases, and this is like this, and this is why it's unique to everybody, right? Because if it were my dream, so this is my own perspective, but thresholds tend to, one, yes, it's opportunities and options, but from my experience, thresholds are always a place of where energy kind of like collects itself, right? Where like spirits like to hang out and linger in thresholds,
Portals.
energy in itself. And so it's like it's an endpoint. Like there's, yeah, it's just like kind of like it's a space holder, a container of things. So there's a need for clearing in those thresholds, or yeah, like opening up the door is good, and like kind of letting the energy out. So when I saw it leading to that, it just kind of gave me this vibe of, like what, I don't know. It's just like what's going to happen in that space, or what's lingering in that space. So that was interesting. I came back into the conversation and you were talking about family things. And so, and I remember I think when you got to the threshold, was that when, or no, you mentioned earlier your family's essence lingering. So, yeah, I think I'm interested in hearing what the rest of your, or the next day, the excerpt.
It was
Then we'll probably wrap it up. Or Mary, I don't know if you have something to share.
No,
But
no, I don't. Well, I could, but no, it's okay.
yeah,
I'm good.
for baby girl is
Next time.
settled. Next
well,
time.
and this little excerpt is from the night prior. So the dream was the morning of the 17th, like 16th and 17th. What I wrote was the night of the 16th. So it's kind of like what I was feeling before going into my dream state.
Okay.
So it this little excerpt says, "Today I feel unhappy with the way I have been dealing with my personal setbacks. I have succumbed to self-pity and fucked off for the last few weeks, allowing myself to sink into neglect. I stopped caring for myself, and that needs to stop. I am clearly only hurting myself with not doing basic things such as eating or taking my medication.
Mm. Well, that to me, what stands out there is the nature of the house, right? How it's like kind of abandoned, broken up, you know. I feel that neglect almost of like the proper like upkeep and just, you know, it's the vibes are different. If you think about a home that's cozy, like the element of coziness is there, and at the same time it's not there, right? And so, and there's this constant transition into cold into warmth, right? And so I'm really curious of this giant huge man figure, like what is that, like is that some element of your unconscious that kind of comes in when you're feeling that anxiety and whatever it is that you feel when you know you're in this state, like being unconscious or whatever.
Yes. So
I'm gonna go back and latch it back to what I was vibing with what you shared earlier, because you're saying that one came before the other type of thing, right?
yeah.
So remember how I said that there might be a burning discussion that needs to be had with the family?
Mm-hmm.
I think that that might be something that you want to voice to your family.
Mm-hmm.
And that if it doesn't get out now, it's going to become enormous, like this giant
Yeah.
masculine.
Well, I think
Because I even wrote here, left side door and feminine energies, right? So
yeah. I think that this large figure was the weight of everything
of your
building
burden.
life, because you know I know where I am now versus where I was January of last year is completely different. I'm sure it's the same for you guys too. And reading this back, like I don't feel many of these feelings anymore ever. I don't have anxiety really ever. And it was almost like me making those decisions was me making decisions to take, like, instead of getting suffocated by the weight of everything that I've been neglecting, whether it be outside of myself or inside of myself, I have to make these decisions to put myself first and care for myself so I can overcome it.
Yeah.
So literally this like very overweight figure was the weight of my world.
Yeah.
Trying to crumble
All emotions. That's what that.
Yeah, and see, this is like, I love, again, I love sharing in this way and just sharing our perspectives and going deep with these dreams because there's so much healing from that. Like, even though you had this experience a little over a year ago and just talking about it now, I'm sure you're getting like a deeper connection to it. You're feeling even more healing towards whatever was coming up for you at that time and in comparison to where you are now. And it's just, this is.
I'm so glad that I made a point of saging everything and lighting candles for this whole thing, because this is very healing.
Yeah.
Because look at how many different like possibilities, even with the interpretations. Like no one is saying that, you know, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. We're saying this is a live conversation, that there's what's vibing with you. You know, you're the one.
Yeah.
You know the situation. You know what you're living.
What?
So I can't tell you your truth. I'm not your psychic. You're your psychic.
Exactly.
You need to start speaking your truth. I can only take you to the water.
Right. Yeah.
Now, whether or not you drink, it's up to you.
I know last year was a very difficult time for me, particularly in January, February, March. Like that time of my life I was dealing with a lot of stuff and it was really wearing on myself. And like I know you guys say that you kind of like wake up and you think about your dreams and you give yourself time to do it. I kind of am the opposite, where mine is very abstract. As soon as I wake up, I write it down. So even when you look at my like journal, my dreams, like I had to sit here before we got on and kind of like reread it over and over again so I could see what words I tried to put down.
Yeah, no, I can't write it down right away. I have to, for me, I have to I don't know. I think it's this little brain of mine here that immediately it goes into this deep thought, the scorpion, the deep thought
Yeah.
process.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like, what am I? What was that? A girls inspector spy kid, whatever it is. It's like I gotta figure everything out. So
Yeah.
it's almost as if like, okay, first I gotta see what I can remember. Then I'm
You're already
like, oh, I just got wind of another feeling or another emotion, or I just got another snapshot of another memory, and I'm like, what are you all about? But you don't fit into the first thought that I had. And I don't know about you guys, but I spend hours just trying to piece that together before I can even write anything down, because otherwise it'll just become like chicken scratches, and who's going to make sense of that? I can't.
And that's definitely what it is. It's like I write it down so quickly, and I'm very impatient in general with writing. But in the morning when I'm just writing it down as quick as I can because I don't have time, it is like there's a word maroon. It took me like 10 minutes to figure out that word was maroon. I was like, what the hell did I write? But I know myself, so after a while of going over and over and over, I got it.
I had a
But no,
friend that used to make little like songs with whatever she was remembering.
Wow.
To like she would like bust into her own little rhymes, because like she would attach herself to the emotion, and I guess the artist in her, because she was like a singer dancer kind of a person kind of thing, right? And she would like be like, if it pissed her off, she'd be throwing the lyrics into this. I'm like, how come I can't do it that easy?
almost all of my art is like inspired from my
But
dreams. Like I love it.
that's why I'm saying go out there and play. I don't know, like we're all gems and have skills, but you've got to take a pulse of what like vibes with you, right?
Exactly, 100%. That's what makes this so much fun too, is because we're all doing it differently for what works for us, and we're all different and unique in our own ways. And I love that. I love that.
There's like no one right way to this. Like it's all good, and it'll change, for ourselves in general too, or in the process as well. So we might start off doing something one way, and then it'll change to something completely different. So
Time to kick those automated navigators
yeah,
to the curb, right?
Yeah.
So thank you two so much for being here.
This was fun.
I love doing this. This is great. And anyone who's watching, if you have a dream to share and you want to share and also interpret some dreams with us, definitely message me. I plan to do this every week. I also didn't mention that I do have a dream guide. So if you are wanting to start your own dream practice and learning dream recall and all the significant key points of the dream interpretation and just the practice of dream work in itself, you can check that out in the link in my bio. So awesome. Well, we'll be here next week, and yeah, sweet dreams.
Not a very art.
Happy Valentine's Day.